Welcome to another edition of Putting on a Better Face with me. I'm Angel. Welcome to the show. I'm gonna put on a better face while I share my thoughts with you this morning. And my thoughts are on joy and a term I think most of us are familiar with, shodenfreuden. I might be saying that wrong. Ooh. There's a lot of air traffic these days. Schadenfreude is taking joy in someone else's demise, or sometimes called gloating. And there's an opposite and more attractive word, I think, which is freudenfreuden. And it's interesting to me that that's less well known in our culture, and that freudenfreuden was gained popularity maybe since politics started coming up in our country. I don't know. That's just my perception. In any case, I am preparing for a book conversation / review about Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart. And in doing that, she talks about the term freudenfreuden, which is taking joy in another person's joy. So, like, sometimes I call that living vicariously through another, where, rather than being envious or, just like envious in a bad way. I think we get envy confused, but rather than being envious in a way that feels bad, being appreciative of other people's experiences, even if we want those experiences ourselves, being able to take some joy in someone else having that experience is freudenfreuden, or if I'm saying it correctly, which I'm probably not, but anyway. It's a good idea, I think. It makes us all, the thing is, as we all live and experience, we are contagious to one another. So the problem with gloating and taking pleasure in another person's demise is it often encourages that behavior from the people around you, and before you know it, you're surrounded by a bunch of a-holes. So the better strategy is to practice taking joy, experiencing joy, appreciating the pleasure that other people get to feel, even when we don't get to feel it. Doesn't mean never feeling pleasure for ourselves or having those joys for ourselves. But imagine, for example, when you do have a success or a joyful experience and you share it with someone, if they're happy for you and they share in that joyful experience, it helps heighten it and make it more joyful. Whereas if instead they are envious or jealous or envious, which are similar but different. Pardon me while I go after that little hair there. Then that doesn't feel good, right? I think this is just basic human reality. It's the reality of how we're wired. We are emotional creatures. We are contagious to each other. And when we're not holding ourselves conscious, we are very easy to manipulate. When we hold ourselves conscious, we can actually sort of manipulate or control or influence our environment, our surroundings, sometimes the people that we're interacting with. And when if we just leave ourselves to what's often called the default mode network of our nervous system, which is left unchecked, like a lower vibrating state, or a state of more disease and less coherence, than we can achieve when we take the time to get to that higher vibrating state or state of more coherence. I like to use meditation. I use exercise. I have not found any one thing that always works. Breathing and exercise, maybe snowboarding and sex always work, but that's only if they, there's caveats even to that. So I think life is is bound to be full of ups and downs, and when we can learn to appreciate that instead of fighting that, and then learn to cultivate joy wherever we can. So that means appreciating joy in our own lives, and it also means appreciating joy in other people's lives. And I would just like to promote more of that idea, because what I see a lot of in our culture is that opposite, that schadenfreuden, taking pleasure in other people's demise. And it's often, very often disguised as people getting their due punishment. We have this whole twisted up, air quotes, justice system, which propagates a lot of injustice from my perspective, and is often used to justify Schadenfreuden. But that is leading to a lot of incoherence and shaming and humiliation and just general bad feelings among human beings. So I wish we would knock it off and practice more joy, practice more freudenfreuden. Look, I got some new makeup in case you've been tuning in for more than one of these fantastic Better Face episodes. I was trying to line up some better stuff back there in the mirror. Look at that. I got a newspaper full of used airplanes for sale. I've been studying aviation, which is pretty awesome. That's just one of many awesome, amazing things that human beings have figured out how to do. I mean, aviation, think about this. We figure out how to get hunks of metal flying through the air. And that is only possible by maintaining a level of coherence that allows us to then cooperate and collaborate and think through things at a higher level. When we're stuck down in those lower levels of taking pleasure in other people's pain or punishment or just general hate and fear, then we're not going to be able to achieve the great things that we can achieve when we rise above that. So that's a big part of what I am committed to doing, and doing my best to model that by being it. You know, they say, be the change you wish to see. And so every day, it's not like you just achieve it one time and then you're done. It's a lot like getting in shape, which is also something I work on every day. And even if you get to like the pinnacle of in shape, air quotes, life will happen, aging happens, other things happen, other people have things happening. And so everything's always changing. And even if things weren't always changing, once you get in perfect shape, if that were to happen, you would still have to keep doing things to maintain that, or entropy would take you right back the other way. And in fact, entropy will take you back the other way. Eventually, anyway, nobody's getting out of here alive, as far as I can tell. Ain't met anybody yet that has. Of course. How would we know, huh? Anyway, the point is, let's both be nicer to each other and practice. It takes deliberate practice. It's not just like, again, it's not just like you hear me say it and then you agree and then it's done. It takes actually going out into the world and practicing. And if you do that, you're probably going to find that a lot of your time and energy is spent thinking shitty thoughts and stories and taking pleasure in other people's suffering and making yourself suffer and all sorts of things that humans kind of classically do. We've been doing it a long time. You can look back through human history and find evidence of that. And you can also find evidence that the solution seems to be getting more coherent in yourself, gaining more calm. It's not suppressing your feelings. It's learning to feel them without blowing them out of proportion and without shaming yourself or others for the feelings you have. And as we do that, like as I'm able to forgive myself and stop shaming myself, I'm able to forgive others and stop shaming them more and more. And the other way around as well. The more I practice forgiving others and not shaming others, the more I'm able to flip that around and stop shaming myself and stop blaming and abandoning myself. That poor inner child that wails so often. And the older I get, the more I see we definitely all have an aspect of that. It's to various degrees activated. Look, I got new lip stuff too. That other stuff's getting dry. But this is brand new. I've been using this color for a long time. I'm glad they haven't discontinued it. It's one of my favorites. I change out makeup a lot, but these two things I've been using for a while. Oh, and you know, eye drops. I have those. Anyway, the rest I do play around, experiment with different things. You're supposed to do this before the eyeliner, but for some reason I find myself always doing it after. See, just takes a little bit of effort to have a little bit better face. And whether you agree or not, I don't care. It's not really for you. It's for me. But in my head, it's for everybody else. It's a neat loop we do where we're like, I'm going to do this for somebody else because it makes me feel good to do things for other people. But actually, it's because it makes me feel good to think that. So, catch 22 or something. Point is, I'm happy for you, and I hope you're happy for me. Whatever successes that you're able to have in your life, we should celebrate those and celebrate one another's successes. Here, let's see if I can get an airplane in there as a future dream. Perhaps I'll be celebrating my private pilot license one of these days. For now, I'm celebrating. I got some pretty flowers a friend gave me. I got this beautiful peacock plant that I've been keeping alive for a while now. I got this 8-dragon room all around me. It's my porch edition I've been building. Still got a lot of tools and clutter around, but that's all right. And I put on a better face. I'm ready to go out into the world, see what I can get into. Thanks for being you. Thanks for letting me be me. Make sure and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're liking what you see or curious. And above all else, do stay curious, stay courageous, and stay free. Ciao for now.